companies search for the perfect strategy, believing that the more analysis they put into their planning process, the greater their chances of success. But there is no such thing, as I said before, a certainty in business or in anything else about the future. Do you know that the future doesn't exist really? Just because the world is uncertain, tough, doesn't mean we can make thoughtful choices. Instead of trying to create a foolproof strategy, we will work to understand the strategic positions and bet on the one we think will increase our odds of success. And the third one is successful strategy making combines rigor and creativity. Okay. Do you know? Can you write on your chat how many people do you know about another methodologies? For example, let me think. What is the most famous strategic planning? Maybe balance scorecard. Tell me if you know balance scorecard. This is the opposite of balance scorecard. Okay, this is very creativity methodology, and the playing to win approach increase your strategy's chances of success by combining the rigor of the scientific method, testing hypotheses, with the creativity of generating multiple possibilities. This is very important. We are applying design thinking in our strategy. This is very important concept. And also,
Could I just ask you? I see that people don't know it. There are people that don't know it. Can you just tell us again what is the name of this other strategy? Then I can just write it down on the board.
yes, balance scorecard.
Balance scorecard.
Yes. Okay, this is how it works, this methodology. First, we define our organization's biggest strategic problem. Then we formulate several possibilities for making that problem go away. Then we specify what must to be true for each of the possibilities to be a great strategy. Next, we test the most worrisome conditions to see how they hold up in the real world. And finally, we review the test results and choose the strategic possibility that, in light of those results, looks like the best bet. Okay? In other words, with playing to win and strategy design sprint, we will generate multiple hypotheses, test them, and then choose the strategy most likely to succeed. We will have to be both creative and rigorous. Perfect. Okay, playing to win, as I told you, this is the three main key ideas. So let's see an example of this methodology. Here's an example. Imagine we have a brand that is losing market share against low price competition. Together, we generate a set of strategic possibilities, which might include moving to a low-cost strategy to compete head-to-head, repositioning our brand on the basis of superior technology, or going after our new, older, and more affluent consumer base with personalized services. We then specify what conditions would have to be true for each of those possibilities to succeed. This is called reverse engineering. Okay. For instance, to compete on price, it would have to be true that we could sustainably achieve a lower cost position than the competition can. We then test the most worrisome condition, including conducting a cost-sensitive analysis, for example. Finally, we make sense of the test results and choose the strategy most likely to succeed. And our playing to win strategy and our design sprint strategy will answer mostly 5 big questions. The first one is, what is our winning aspiration? This is the guiding purpose of the enterprise. The second one is where we will play, the geographies, consumer segments, channels, products, and stages of production in which we choose to compete. How we will win? The competitive advantage we need to win in our chosen market. What capabilities must we have? What we will need to do at the highest level in order to win in that way? And finally, what management system do we need? How we will build support and measure those capabilities. These questions are interconnected and make up the strategy cascade, as you can see in the slide, that will be the foundation of our work. Let's look at each question in turn and then explore an example to make this more concrete. The first one, let's begin with the first box, winning aspiration. A winning aspiration describes what our organization exists to do, and it's a choice about what business we are really in. The aspiration sets the frame for the other four questions. It is concrete, specific, and ambitious. Think about winning with customers and against competition. Take Nike's winning aspirations to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you are an athlete. Okay, we want an aspiration that will allow us to win, not simply to play. Most companies, most business only are playing, not winning. A too modest aspiration is far more dangerous than a too lofty one because the rest of our strategic choices build from this aspiration. Winning is the only real path to sustainability. If we don't try to win, our chances of accidentally doing are so very low. Once we set our aspirations to win, we're reminding four questions directly relate to how we will realize that aspiration. Next, where to play. The next two questions, where will we play and how will we win, are the heart of our strategy. Okay? Okay, this is the playing field on which we choose to compete. The location and customer segments we serve, the products we offer. We can define our playing field by, customer segments, what groups of customers we will target, which of their needs we will meet, distribution channels, how we will reach our customers, product type, what kind of products and services we will offer, geography, in what countries or regions we will compete, stages of productions, in what stage of productions or what part of the value chains we will engage. Choosing where to play is also, of course, about choosing where not to play. We shouldn't attempt to serve everyone or accept our current choices as inevitable. Many companies' go-to-market strategy is to create something to sell to everyone. But these products and services often don't sell because they don't meet anyone's needs well. The other mistake some companies make is to try to meet too many customer needs. These organizations customize their products or services for virtually every customer. This is an expensive business model and difficult to scale. It's better to delight profitable segments of customers, not individuals. Let's look for clusters of customers with similar needs and whom we can serve well with a single approach. A company like Southwest Airlines has made very specific where to play choices. For example, target price concessions regular travelers, self-taught its own online channel on southwest.com, serve only secondary airports with point-to-point services, offer only one class of service, fly only in North America. Southwest chooses not to play internationally at major hub and spoke airports and with travel agents, for example. Then How to win is the third question. A strong where to play choice is only valuable if we support it with a robust and actionable how to win choice. The two reinforce each other to create distinctive combination and are the heart of strategy, as I said before. In choosing where to play, we find a smart playing field. How to win choices determine how we will do and on the playing field. With where to play choices, we consider a specific set of dimensions, geography, product, etc. There is no single simple set of categories on how to win choices. There are, however, two very broad ways to win, within which there are many choices. Let's see it. There are two fundamental ways to win. Okay, or maybe third. Here in my, I don't know if you can see my board behind me, but there is the third one. If you can read Blue Ocean Strategy, the book, the authors of that book said that there is a third way. This is value innovation. In this way, it's very related with disruption theory, and you can see that you have to make a balance between cost structure and value. Okay, it's very interesting way to see a strategy. But the two fundamental ways to win, there are two ways: low cost and differentiation. At a high level, there are only two ways to create a sustainable competitive advantage, as I said before: to be a low-cost player or to be a differentiator. As Michael Porter wrote in Competitive Strategy, the only way to win, in other words, to create more value than our competition, are either to operate with sustainable lower cost or differentiate by offering a significantly better product or services. Companies that compete on low cost include, for example, Walmart, the Vanguard Group, Southwest Airlines. They provide a standard product or services that they make as cost efficiently as possible. They focus on driving costs out of the system. They don't try to serve customers who want something other than their standardized products or who seek additional expensive bells and whistles. Southwest, for example, wins by providing cheap, fast, and efficient and simple service in the complicated air travel industry. Companies that compete on differentiation include Whole Foods, Chipotle, Mexican Grill, cool, and Procter& Gamble. They provide products and services for which customers are willing to pay a premium over competitive offerings. To do so, the companies seek to deeply understand customers and their unmet needs. Okay, we can use here jobs to be done theory to know that unmet needs, doing whatever it takes to delight those customers over the long time. Differentiation may be based on the product quality, branding, breadth of offerings, customer service, and so on. Chipotle, for instance, differentiates on the basis of its products offering and fresh organic ingredients. And there is the third way, as I said before, the value innovation. You can play here with cost and value. And the blue ocean strategy says that you can create value with lower cost. This is very interesting point of view. Okay, let's go to the four questions on to capabilities. Capabilities enable our organization to bring the where to play and how to win choices to life. But capabilities aren't everything we do or everything activity in which we engage. Rather, they are the specific activities that, when performed well, help us win in the way we have chosen. Sustained competitive advantage is unlikely to be the result of any capability. For example, having the best sales force in the industry. Instead, it arises from the set of capabilities that fit with, with and they reinforce one another. Each capability needn't be different from competitors, but the full set should be distinct. Southwest Airlines, for example, has to be good at flying airplanes, but it doesn't need to be any better at this activity than the competition. To be a cost leader in the airplane industry, Tough Southwest needs to have its planes in the air as often as possible. So it needs to have capabilities related to making frequent and on-time departures, including speeding and the turnaround at the gate. To realize our where to play and how to win choices, we may decide to continue investing in current capabilities, build up new ones, reduce investment in non-essentials activities. It's attempting to simply think about what we're really good and build a strategy from there. The danger is that the things we are currently good at may not give us a competitive advantage or be relevant to customers. We need to base our keep doing, stop doing decisions in our aspirations, where we will play and how we will win. I'm not saying that the differentiation strategy is better than a cost structure strategy. Both can be a success strategies. Actually, right now in these COVID times, we can embrace the low cost strategy. It could be a good strategy to implement in our companies. So the last one is, what management system do we need? Companies often neglect the last questions in their strategy work, but even if we set a winning aspiration, determine where to play and how to win, and define the capabilities we need, our strategy can still fail spectacularly. So if we don't also establish management systems that support our choices, many senior levels expect everyone in the company to easily translate a high level strategy and key themes into quick and definitive actions to make the right choices every day. But we need the systems, the structures, and the rules to build our capabilities in that reinforce and measure our organization's strategic choices to see a strategy tough. These systems include things like, for example, customer relationship management, a CRM, innovation reviews, performance, and incentive management process, customer referral systems, and managed systems are the check and balance on our other four choices. In that, they tell us as we are making choices based on our strategy if it is working. Southwest, for example, had to create a system for analyzing the profitability of different roles, hiring, training, and retaining friendly staff, for example. Together, the answer of these 5 questions will define our company strategies and create the strategy cascade. This is our cascade. Sorry. And then we have to choose a successful strategy. We will create several draft cascades with multiple where to play and how to win combinations, and then test them to see which is most likely to help us win. Okay, perfect. We have learned until now how to create a strategy, building these cascades, answering these 5 questions. But how do you know that choices are correct? You have to make some analysis. The first one, you have to do a business environment analysis, if you study business or an MBA, of course you know that. You know this tool. How you can do a business environment analysis? Okay, the first tool you can use is the market forces. See, in order to make better decisions, we cannot make them by intuition or experience. We have to analyze a little. The objective of this workshop, you have to do a workshop about it. This workshop exercise is to visualize and map out everything that is going in your business model environment. It's the external environment of your business model. And we have four areas to analyze. The first one is the market forces, the key trends, the industry forces, and the macroeconomic forces. We need facts and evidence to do this workshop. You don't have to write what you think. You need facts. You need evidence. For example, you have to analyze in the first one, market forces, you have to analyze the market issues, the market segments, needs and demands, switching cost, revenue, attractiveness, for example. In the key trends, you have to analyze technology trends, regulatory trends, social and cultural trends, socioeconomic trends too. In the industry forces, you have to analyze competitors, incumbents, new entrants, insurgents, for example, substitute products, substitute services, stakeholders, suppliers, and other value chains actors. And also, you can use here the strategy canvas. The strategy canvas is a very useful tool to analyze your competitive landscape. If you want to know more about this tool, you have to read the Blue Ocean Strategy book. You can find a lot of information of this tool, the strategy canvas. And finally, the macroeconomic forces. You can analyze here global market conditions, capital markets, commodities, and other resources, economic, and infrastructure. Okay, this is a must. You have to analyze these four forces. And also, you have to analyze your current business model. Here, when you are running a strategy design sprint, you can use the note and vote exercise. The people can sketch their current business model, and then you have to finally choose the current one, how your company is competing right now. Okay, perfect. This is how, and also you have to analyze your current strategy cascade. With those 5 questions, you have to answer those 5 questions, and you have to map your current strategy cascade. All these three tools are going to help you to define our strategic problem. This is maybe the main thing in strategy, your strategic problem. And the most pressing, what is the most pressing issue in your company? And before we move into generating new strategies possibilities, it's imperative that we have to define our core strategic problem. What is our most pressing strategy issue? Do we have obsolete technology? Are low-cost rivals sizing our market share? Are our products becoming less differentiated as competitors copy our failures? Or are we just growing too slowly? Let's consider these 7 categories, on this slide, and discuss our most pressing issues and opportunities. Which issue feels most worrisome? What are the most interesting opportunities? Are there challenge? that must be addressed uh, together. For example, how we might grow our market share while also lowering our manufacturing cost, for example. And also the last three exercises that we saw, the business model analysis, the current business model, and the current strategy, are going to help us to choose our strategy problem. You have to cluster the information and then use the exercise not and vote to choose which is your strategic problem. Now we have to reframe our strategic choice with the how might we question. No, there are probably many ways to solve our strategic problem, but before we begin generating possibilities, we need to frame the problem as a clear choice between two very different strategies, at least two. You can do another one, the third one if you want, but at least two. We're not going to analyze the problem yet. That will come after we have generated possibilities. For now, let's focus instead on high-level options for resolving the problem. This is a crucial moment in the strategy process when we see more than one option for solving the problem. We can then focus in figuring out an optimal solution rather than studying or analyzing the problem. Now we're going to move on to generating possibilities for where to play and how to win. We are going to focus in those two questions. We will do this in two steps. First, brainstorm where to play and how to win possibilities, and then cluster the possibilities together and narrow them. Let's start by brainstorming. Think, for example, of a possibility as a happy story about a potential failure that lays out where our company plays and how we will win there. We have to come up with as many as we can at this point. Offer any ideas you have, including wild ones. There should be there should not be any evaluation of these suggestions at this stage. All ideas are welcome as long as they seek to address the strategic problem. Let's get started. What are the different ways in which we might solve our strategic problems? Where to play? How might we broaden or narrow where we play in terms of customer segments, channels, product and services offerings, geographies, stages of production? How might we win differently than we do today? How might we win in light of where to play possibilities we just identified? What would it take to be the Google, Apple, or Walmart of this market? Okay, now that we have several possibilities, let's cluster and then call them. Are some about low cost and others differentiation? Are some about broadening where to play and others narrowing it? Are some about changing geographies, customer channels, products and services, or stages of production? We need 3 to 5 possibilities that are meaningfully different plus the status quo.
Marco, can I just ask a question in between?
Yes.
People are asking how the design sprint helps now to frame that strategy. You already started mentioning that you use node and vote here. Maybe
Yes.
you can just give a quick overview, just to give some context.
Okay, perfect. Of course. At this point, we have to create, or what we are focusing and playing to win methodology. Okay. This methodology gives us the path to to have different possibilities. But the link between playing to win and the science sprint is how you have to run the workshop. Okay. Later, I'm going to give you how you can structure your workshop with adding the science sprint with playing to win. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, now let's complete the cascades for each of our where to play and how to win possibilities. First, let's craft a winning aspiration for each possibility. What would we winning look like, given this where to play and how to win choice combination? What aspiration would fit with this possibility? And now let's add capabilities. Remember, these are the 4 or 5 activities we have to do exceptionally well to deliver on our play to win and how to win choices. These capabilities make the difference between winning and losing against competitors. And the capabilities are not necessarily what we are currently good at. Let's not list activities we don't need to be any better at than our competition. Our competition. Think of Southwest Airlines and its capabilities. The airline has to be good at flying airplanes, but it doesn't need to be any better at it than the competition. And to be cost leader in the airline industry, tough Southwest needs to have its planes on the air as often as possible. So it needs to have capabilities related to making frequent and on-time departures, including speeding up and turnaround and the gate. Now let's look at the management system. These are the 4 or 5 systems that build, support, and measure strategy. They include rules, norms, process, and measures. The systems such as budgeting process, strategy reviews, and performance metrics tell us how well the strategy is working. Let's think about basic categories of systems such as finance, customer service, logistics, human resources, and marketing. For each of those categories, what specific systems do we need to support the capabilities we just identified? Southwest, for example, had to create systems for analyzing the profitable or of different routes, for example, hiring, training, and retaining friendly staff, and so on. We will know how that cascades are done when they are distinct from one another. Each one feels like a happy story about a possible winning future. Each one is reinforced and coherent. The aspirations, where to play, how to win, capabilities, and management systems feels like a part of a whole. Okay? So, you have to generate possibilities. Here is here's an example, oil of oil example. Oil of oil is a brand in skincare. Here is an example. For example, their strategic problem was how to become a global leader in skincare, and they make 2 choices. The first one, invest to reinvest oil of oil, turning it into a winning brand. And the second one choice is shut down oil of oil and invest in another skincare brand. Okay, as you can see it in the slide. With the choice laid out, the team then generated several more specific possibilities, including these 3 possibilities that you can see in the slide. Okay, this is the creative part of playing to win methodology. And then you can see the cascade that they do, see, for the first one possibility. Transform Olay into a premium brand. So they move Olay upmarket, but targeting younger women and offering products that fight earlier and multiple sign of agents. So you can see here the cascade that they made for that possibility. You have to create multiple possibilities. You can use here, see, you have to map out all these possibilities and use the exercise NUF. How new, how useful, and how feasible is your cascade, and you can eliminate those that are not new, useful, and feasible. So, the overview of reverse engineering. Before we dive into reverse engineering process, let's talk in more detail about what it is. Typically, an organization begins by trying to understand what is the truth about the world, its industry, its customers, its competitors, and its own capabilities. This inch-deep, mile-wide analysis of everything that might be relevant to making strategy choices, it's time to consuming and expensive. In strategy science sprint, we reverse the order. We begin by articulating our core strategy choice, and only then do we turn to analysis and testing. We review the test results, and finally we choose the option that, according to those results, looks like the best bet. In other words, playing to win a strategy and sprint, we generate multiple hypotheses, test them, and then choose the strategy most likely to succeed. To succeed. This is what sets the playing to win approach apart from others. Instead of asking what is true, we focus on what would have to be true to make our strategy work. So we have to choose our hypothesis that we have to test. Right now, I am using the business model canvas, and once the team had drafted its cascades, it was ready to reverse engineer each possibility. We have four areas: feasibility, desirability, viable, and adaptable. And you have to choose which hypothesis you have to test in your strategy. This is very important. So you can see here in this slide, you have to test your business model hypothesis in your cascade hypothesis. And you are going to tell me, Marco, how can I map this or choose this hypothesis? And here is a assumption mapping, and you can use it, very useful. You have to write your hypothesis about your strategy, say possibility, and map out these assumptions in this map. You have to map this hypothesis and how critical they are, and if you have evidence or if you don't have evidence. And you have to choose those hypotheses that you don't have evidence and are critical for your business model. Okay, so how you can test those hypotheses? Right now, we are going to use the strategizer test card and the strategizer learning card that are very useful to test all those hypotheses that you have about your strategic possibilities. Okay, and you are going to tell me how I can measure the progress of those experiments. You can use the progress board. Also, it's from a strategizer. This is all at the end. This is a Kanban use that you can use in your experimental process. It's very useful. So, playing to win strategy, it's a very creative tool methodology, and the strategy design sprint process were fit with this methodology. You have to run this kind of workshops using a lot of tools that you use in the strategy design sprint, and we divide this workshop in 4 days, mostly in 4 days. The day one, you have to introduce to the group the playing to win framework. See, you have to analyze your competition, the market, your business model, and your current strategy. And the day two, and the day three, you have to define the strategic problem. You can use here the how might we tool to frame your strategic choice. You have to generate possibilities with brainstorm exercises. And then you have to draft, see, a cascade for each possibility. Here, this is almost the prototype of your strategic planning, if you can say that, the draft. And then you can use a note and vote to choose which one is the team wants to try, wants to test. Then you have to check in with the stakeholders, specify conditions that must be true. You have to write your hypothesis. Then you have to identify barriers to choosing each possibility. Then you have to design tests and those barriers. And the day four, see, you have to discuss the test results and make strategic choices and refine your cascades. This is very different. The day four is very different from the typical design sprint. In the design sprint, you run the last day the test with 5 people. Here, when you want to test a strategic possibility, you cannot do it in one day. This is impossible. Also, I want to talk about the design sprint, but there is a misconception about design sprint. I hear people to say that you can validate an idea with design sprint. But for me, this is not possible. This is almost impossible. You don't have enough evidence to validate an idea. For me, the day fourth in a design sprint, a regular design sprint, this is only the beginning for an experimental process. You have to do a lot of experiments and testings before validate an idea. And it's very different. Regularly, most of the times, you are testing your ideas in the only with the desirable area. No, if the people would like those service of those kind of products, but when you are testing strategies, you are not only focused on products and services, you are focused on channels. You are focused on those 5 questions that we answered before. Okay? So the test phase in the strategy design sprint, it could be longer. I don't have a time to tell you how much time you have to spend in those experiments, but it takes longer time to validate a strategy. And also, you have to validate a strategy at minimum 2 possibilities. Okay? So, it's a lot of work because you have to validate at the same time 2 different strategic possibilities. So, it takes time. Okay? But if you want only to design a strategy, you can do it in 4 days or 3 days. Actually, you can do it in 3 days. But if you want to test and validate those strategies, it takes time. You don't have enough time in one day. You have a multiple hypotheses maybe if you are validating an idea or are trying to experiment an idea in a design sprint regular process, maybe you have one or two or three hypotheses that you want to test and you want to answer. But here we have a multiple hypotheses because you have to validate the five questions that you answered before when you draft your cascade. If you want to run a strategy design sprint, we don't have time to explain each kind of exercise we have to do. We're going to share our ebook link about this strategy design sprint. But in this session, I want to focus only in the first part is when you are going to design your strategy and the creative process to create more than one strategy for test them in advance. Okay, sorry, there is so much information about it, and
A lot of
I'm
information.
tired.
Great.
Sorry, but this is the strategy design sprint framework.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, I see a lot of clapping hands to you, Marco.
Sorry for the pronunciation.
No, everything fine. Thanks a lot, really. We gathered some questions, a lot of questions. So there's a possibility to come on stage. So if you like to come on stage, I just invite you here. But I think we cannot answer all the questions. So I have like two questions regarding the design sprint process. So I think that's answered with you will give access to your ebook, and there you can just read it. So I would just sum it up like the design sprint process is used to enable a team in a corporate or in a company to create a strategy, that they don't have to, let's say, do it with the book or just let's say relate on their gut feeling, but there is a process, and in the end this team is able to create a strategy or this hypothesis to test. So I think this is something I can cover with that. And then we have also questions like what team, what should be the team? So who should be in the team for a strategy design sprint?
Perfect. The team is almost the same, the number of people in a regular design sprint, but you have to choose the first or the top level of the company. If it's a big company, you have to choose them to create and design the strategy, because they decide the way they want to they decide the way they want to go. Mm-hmm. So the first tier, the top tier,
yeah,
you have to choose those people: director, the board of directors, owners of the business. They are the perfect people to create and design a strategy. And then you have to create cascades to go to the broad company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that means you need to have like at least, let's say, 3 people.
Yes, at least 4 people, 5 people to create a good strategy. And also it's very important to have a team when you are doing the analysis. Mm-hmm. If you're doing by yourself, you are going to lose information, of course. So the first exercises that you are going to do the first day, okay, in the agenda, you have to make those exercises with people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a must.
Great. So maybe that means as well that for the analysis, you could also get people together. They won't continue with you like the experts in the expert interview.
Yes,
so you
can invite you can invite for those sessions experts to give you more information when you are doing the business analysis, the environmental analysis. You can invite experts, but then when you are going to design and choose the strategic problem, you are going to choose that strategic problem only with your main team.
Okay, great. And I read here on business environment analysis, do you need to map 4 elements: market forces, key trends, industry forces, macroeconomic forces? Do you do that with your participants on day one in an
Yes,
exercise, or do you have the team prepared it as homework? Yeah,
you
that's
can do it both. You can. It's very interesting question because if you are the facilitator, you can bring to that workshop some information about the industry, about your business model, about your current strategy. But I suggest to run that workshop on the first day. But you
thank
have to bring information about the industry.
Then we have, how do you perform the validation? Do you test the hypothesis with real customers of the company?
It's very interesting question because it depends. If you are trying, as you can see it in the cascade with the 5 questions, each answer of that questions are it's each answer is a hypothesis. Each answer. So you have to test the main hypothesis you are worrisome. Okay? You have to test not all the hypotheses. You have to test only the important ones, okay? The criticals and the hypothesis that you don't have evidence, okay? If you don't have evidence, you have to continue making more and more and more experiments and more testings.
So I just invited Jeroen to the on stage because he had that was this question, the previous question, and he has also another question that was also upvoted from the people. So
Okay?
Jeroen, could you open your video? Is that possible?
Oh,
And would
do
you
I have
like?
it? Do I have it closed? All right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay,
I was munching away, so I had my
yeah.
video off.
So some of your questions are answered. You have still more like the performance of the validation. I think that's also a very interesting question. Do you test the hypo? So please ask this
Yes.
question.
I fully understand, Marco. Thank you for your presentation, by the way. Great there. I fully understand that this cannot be tested within a day in 5 interviews, each of 1 hour. But the question is more, how do you perform that? And do you validate with the end users of your product or services? Or do you also validate it with, for instance, channel partners or financial partners or
Yeah.
whatever kind of partners you might have as a business?
Okay, you have to have a experimental plan. Okay, it takes maybe 1 month, maybe 1 week. It depends. It depends how much evidence you can get.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have first you have to have a experimental champion that run those experiments. I don't know how many or how much experiments you have to do. I don't know. Really, I don't know. And my clients tell me, but tell me how much time it takes to make all those experiments. I don't have the answer. Really, I don't have the answer. But you have to have a champion who make those experiments with different kind of segments. Maybe it could be stakeholders, it could be clients, it could be I don't know. It depends about what kind of hypothesis you want to prove. But really, it's hard to. I understand that it's hard to understand, but you have to make a plan, and it depends how much evidence do you have at that moment.
Okay, because obviously, I think that one of the strong points of a design sprint is that you sort of compress it all into 4 or 5 days, right?
Yes, yes,
Um,
but
if you,
not the
if,
experimental phase.
but in a more traditional design sprint, then, right? The
Yes,
experimental phase is a 1 day process with
yes,
5 real users,
yes,
and this gives you either your successful failure or your success.
okay,
So
yes,
I'm interested in how do you do that? So you say to your customers, I'll run you through this program in 4 days, and then we need another 60 days to test all our validate to validate all our assumptions.
yes,
How,
yes.
how do you go about that challenge?
Yeah, yeah. The 4 days or 3 days design, only the
Hmm.
design phase, you can do it in 1 week. But I don't know what kind of hypothesis you want to test. It depends. The hypothesis, it depends the kind of experiment that you want to do. Not all
Yeah.
the experiments are sessions, one-to-one session. Maybe you have to make some another kind of experiment, like I don't know, uh, desk research, for example, or I don't know, or maybe
I could imagine maybe also that if you you could also maybe test something with the users, but in another sense, not like asking five, like we do that in a normal design sprint,
Hmm.
but to test the strategy. If you say, okay, now I would like to focus more on the, let's say, higher price segment,
yeah,
luxury, blah blah, then you would test that in another way, not asking five, but you would then set up maybe a kind of a landing page or an e-commerce page, something. It's just, I don't
It's
know.
more
It's
about the
there
product,
for
right?
each
And not so
type
much
there.
about the strategy. Yeah.
This,
yeah,
sorry, yeah, this is now regarding that, but it could be that this is like when I just look to the example with the oil of Olay, that was being more a luxury brand and just leveling up the brand.
yeah. For example, if you want to test a product in your strategy, in your new strategy, you can do it. The five interviews, for example. If you want to test the product, for example, or if you want to test a segment, okay. If you want to try a new segment, you can do it with the five interviews. But my point is that those five interviews are not enough to validate your strategy.
That's right. Yeah. I think we are clear about that.
Okay. Thank you
I
very much.
also see that at what point you decide to kill your darling. I think that relates to the same point as well. So I think that's the same. And you had another one. It's the it's also from your side, the strategic problem.
Yes, as a design thinker, right? This design thinking
Okay.
methodology, it always really focuses around the user. The user is the real focal point of this design sprint or any design sprint. In a strategic
Not always.
problem,
Not always. For me, it's not like that. For me, it's around the problem, not around the people. For me,
okay,
products
we differ in opinion
match.
there.
Yes, for me, the products and services match problems, not match people. For me,
Exactly.
my
So
point
that's
of view.
that's the point of my question there.
Yeah.
Is the strategic problem framing, is this from the perspective of the company or from the perspective of the user of the company's products and services? And obviously you say it is from the framed from the perspective of the company.
It depends. We saw seven kind of strategic problems. It could be one of them. It could be about your segments. Another
Hmm.
one could be about the industry, for example. It could be a industry problem. If you want, if you are, I'm going to give you an example. If you are in the soda industry, for example, right now, you have an industry problem because the people don't want. for example, or the industry, the regulations, see, the regulations wants to kill that kind of industry, for example. So,
As in the
you,
sugar regulations.
about
Yeah.
the sugar, for
Okay.
example.
Yeah.
So, here, with this example, your strategic problem is not about the people
But
directly,
about legislation.
for example.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, during COVID, you have also other problems. I think we cannot answer all the questions, and I also would like to give us a bit time in the networking area. Maybe we take another two quickly answered questions, and I thank you, Jeroen, for being here. And we see each other in the lounge. Let's say we take another 5 minutes, answer two questions, and then we go to the lounge. Thanks, Jeroen.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you, Jerome.
So we have another, let's just take quick answers to how would you like a job to be done approach with this method?
What is the link? The link is that when you are analyzing the industry and also your business model or your current strategy, maybe you need to know what the people really want. So, jobs to be done is a great methodology to understand what are people trying to get done. Mm-hmm. So, in that way, you can know what the people really want. But it's only if your strategic problem is your user.
Mm-hmm. Okay, customer. I think that's key. It depends. You can use different kinds of methodologies integrated to the concept, to the process, if it relates to your problem that you want to solve with your strategy.
It's related with this. When I'm trying to talk about jobs to be done, I'm trying to talk about this balance between cost, value, and what the people really want. Mm-hmm. It's something related with disruption.
Okay.
Remember that disruption is it's the disruption born in a low cost markets, and also you have to create a new market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the blue ocean strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have, I think there are questions already answered, and there is one. Is it fair to say that problem identification can come from anywhere from anywhere? Industry, moderated interviews with users, legislation, jobs to be done, or wherever?
I don't understand the question.
Yeah, me neither. Okay. So maybe we can just talk about this later in the lounge. And I would like to thank you, Marco. That was really great. Wonderful insights. And I think every one of you saw that this is, it's a huge concept. It's just a huge process, and it's not easy to pack that everything into 1 hour. So you are invited to read the ebook, and I'm sure if you connect to Marco, where can we find you? Maybe you can just give us a short insights where people should connect with you, and then we can also bring the discussion now to the lounge area.
Thank you.
It would be like on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And on your website, right? So you find that also on the mural board.
Okay.
And I would just finish with a nice, let's say, we need to celebrate and just clap for a moment for each other. So we are both in now the Google chapter leads you from the Mexico meetup chapter, and we are here in the Stuttgart chapter, and we are let's say now in this big group of the Google chapter, and we are looking forward to foster even more networking and also to kind of collect information and share that with the whole community. So I'm really looking forward to that. And now I just say thank you, and let's meet in the networking area.
Thank
Bye.
you.